Hi, this is Mike Williams. We're really glad that you're watching. Well, we've already established the fact that homosexuality in the Old Testament was condemned by the Scriptures, along with many other things. In fact, everything was condemned by the law. Everything that had anything to do with being human was literally condemned. But you also might have the question, but Mike, didn't Paul mention this issue also in the New Testament? Well, Romans chapter 1 is the place where it's mentioned the most, and it's the most referred to place that people are all the time asking people to turn there to prove their point that homosexuality is against nature. Does it actually say that? Does Paul point out homosexuality? And does he point out that homosexuality is against nature? Yeah, he does. No doubt about it. Again, it's better to understand what somebody was trying to say rather than change what they were saying. You can say that you don't believe what Paul said at all. That's even acceptable too. But I think it would be wise to at least for us to look at what Paul had to say in context. Seems to be something the Christian world is a little bit absent-minded about, as far as just continuing to read. What was Paul's whole point? Paul's entire point in the first part of Romans was not the issue of homosexuality or any other sin was condemned. Paul's point was you don't have a right to judge anybody, and that judgment has been taken away. Who art thou? He says in the very following chapter, it says, who art thou that judgest, O man? You that judge, aren't you guilty of the very same thing? So, you see, the issue, while Paul did make the statement that homosexuality is that which is against nature, if you continue to read just a little bit more, he is addressing the Jewish population. He's addressing Jewish believers, actually, and they had a problem. They had a problem with homosexuals in their time, and they understood that by the law, this was condemned. So Paul comes to them and says, yeah, you know what? You're kind of right here. It is not just exactly natural for two men to be together or two women to be together according to the way we understand things. Yeah, you got a point here. It is that which is against nature. And then as he was speaking to these Jewish believers, he brought up the issue of circumcision. And he asked them a really important question. He asked them, he said, which one is more natural? Which one is natural? Is circumcision or uncircumcision? Which one is actually natural? Paul brought out the point that uncircumcision was natural, and circumcision was that which is against nature. You see, Paul wasn't condemning homosexuality. He was simply using a terminology that he knew that these Jewish believers would understand. They would understand what he was trying to say. If he took the issue of sexuality and said, okay, I agree with you. We're not going to debate the point that homosexuality is that which is against nature. But then he turned the entire issue before he got into the second chapter and began to draw them out and began to say, now, let's talk about circumcision. Now, we've talked about homosexuality. We've talked about the fact that it is that which is against nature. But you really don't have a right to judge somebody. Because now let's talk about circumcision just a moment. Which one is by nature? Is circumcision by nature or is uncircumcision by nature? Of course, the argument is clear without debate that uncircumcision is natural. You see, what Paul was doing was finding a common ground so that these Jewish believers could understand that just because they were identifying something as against nature, that their very spiritual validation, they were taking away validation from a group of people who they said were doing things that were against nature, when the very validation of their spirituality, which was circumcision, was also against nature. You see, sometimes things aren't as they seem, especially when you lift things out of context. So, the next time that somebody tries to pull Romans chapter 1 out of context for you, take them on into the understanding of the fact that that which is against nature is also circumcision is not the natural thing to do. But you see, one they use to condemn people with, and the other they use to actually validate their spirituality. Strange how selective we can be with that which is natural and that which is against nature. If you want more information, you can go to gospelrevolution.com. Also, you can refer to the link below. And good talking to you. Thanks. Bye.